Hey everybody, it's Book of Katherine. I hope you're doing well. This is kind of a video for women because women have, lady parts, or people who do have lady parts don't identify. However you identify, if you have ovaries or an uterus, then this may be for you, and you suffer from chronic pain. If chronic pain is a major factor in your life, if it is something that you do, pain is a major factor in your life, and you're also having issues with, you're going to an OBGYN, you're having issues with your bleeding, or all of a sudden became inconsistent or all throughout, and you notice that your pain is worse during your cycle, whenever it hits, before your cycle and after your cycle, the pain just increases. And even if you're just having trouble, maybe you don't have pain, but even if you're having trouble with your cycle, or you're having trouble with your hormones, or you're having trouble getting pregnant. All right, so there's something that I learned. I said in my other video, alternative medicine, I said that acupuncture really helped with my lady parts problem. It really took, they were going to take away, they're going to give me a hysterectomy, and then I got an acupuncturist. And that just solved a lot of them. It took it down way, way big time, right? And they couldn't stop me bleeding. And then that actually stopped me bleeding, right? And I know OBGYNs hate to hear that, but for me, I needed it. Now, then it came back, but it came back at the cycle they were aiming for, if that makes sense. They're aiming for stopping this massive, and it came back, and acupuncture helped that. But there's something else that I learned about it through my OBGYN before I started my channel, and I really want to bring that up with you. They never told me, none of my doctors told me this, but at the weight of 235 pounds, something changes. The fact of the matter is, I want you to pay attention to your history and notice if there was a time when you suddenly started getting female problems, OBGYN problems. If something changed with your hormones at about 225, 235 to 250, there is a window, 225 and up, where women suddenly start getting extreme problems with their, uterine problems. They start having problems with the ovulating, ovaries, and your uterus. All these problems come in, and your hormones. And there's this trigger that happens at 225 pounds. And it's just majority of women, they'll get it. If you have it, there's going to something happen. Now, for people who are suffering from chronic pain, this is a big thing. This is a big thing. I wish someone had told me that. Now, with the pro-fat movement that's been happening, that's linked to the Sustainable Development Goals, they tell us, and I believed it because it had already been underway and I didn't know anything about politics. I believed it. I thought my weight gain was a result of my illness. And I can understand why. My spine started going downhill, my nerves started going downhill, and it was in the lower back, and it made me less and less mobile. I stopped my consulting, I stopped my my dancing, and I ended up just bedridden, I couldn't walk, and so I started to gain. Now, I saw my body start swelling. It happened on a very specific August night. My body just swelled up, did this huge swelling thing, and my legs just went crazy. And after my second accident, my legs turned white, so I thought it was all linked to whatever illness happened here. Well, my OBGYN helped me figure out that that was actually right when I passed the 225 mark, and I had slowly started gaining weight when my mobility went down, and I didn't catch it. Now, I had been used to eating for moving all the time. I was just traveling everywhere, and I didn't need to worry about my weight. I was traveling, and if I decided to want to go into competition, I just did a few leg and I was fine, you know what I mean? So, but not all of a sudden this mobility thing. And you can see it in my very last comment, I swelled, and I thought because the inflammation, I didn't know. And but it happened right at that 225 thing. And because I was getting in so much pain, I thought it was all linked to just whatever was going on earlier. And it wasn't. It's right when I remember what happened is that I went into my OBGYN earlier before this big swelling thing happened. And I said, my birth control isn't working for me anymore. I'm on this birth control, and I'm suddenly getting all these breakouts, and I'm suddenly getting these when I have hormones, I suddenly get really, really swollen. When it's my time of the month, I'm getting really swollen. And so she switched me onto something even lower on estrogen or whatever. And that month I had this huge exploding pain I've never ever felt, just shaking, and I felt like I had slices in my arms, huge slices in my arms. And I went into her panicked, and she said, honey, hormones don't do that to you. And so she took me off everything. And things got just, it was awful. And the thing is, I was on something so low that coming off of it didn't really change much. It just increased, and that's when I went to my neurologist going, well, she says this is you know, I went to a neurologist, and by then I had something on nearly every single checkbox. And I remember walking out with this huge prescription pad, but it got me moving again. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, he was really trying to diagnose me before I left California. He was really, really trying to diagnose me, and he was down to the lower spine. And then we got to the East Coast, and they just dropped everything. They just dropped everything, and it was a nightmare until we found someone who was trying to diagnose me again. And and by then it had been years, and I just deteriorated, right? So this is why it's so important, I think, knowing about the weight, because it wasn't until I had this amazing OBGYN, who was the first one, by the way, who said I should get an ablation. You know, she was like, you need to get an ablation. She was the first one to talk about an ablation, was our OBGYN. But what the thing is that she was saying, you know, you need to get your weight down below that 225. Now, my other pain doctor, my amazing pain doctor who I'm still with, she had put me on the ketogenic diet. Now, here's what's very interesting, and I want to put this to you guys who are trying the ketogenic diet. If your doctors have said this will get your pain levels down, this will really help. I remember going on the ketogenic diet out of, like, I was like, I'll try anything to get off of this pain. So she assigned me a diet, and I was like, sure, because I was hitting 10s so often a week and passing out for 2 days. I was willing to try anything. And I did it, and I lost 30 pounds the first month, but it didn't change my pain. It didn't change my pain. Do you know when it changed my pain? And I realized this today, and I was like, I need to tell you guys about this. It changed my pain when I went below that, below that 200 mark. And suddenly then I felt a big difference when I go off my break, my pain would suddenly increase. And also the hormones were not as bad once I went below the 225 mark. And I was like, oh my gosh, my OBGYN was so right. Like, my hormone levels changed when I was coming down off that 225, and I started my channel around that time. So acupuncture may have assisted the process of my hormones coming down, but I don't think if I had been on that ketogenic diet that brought me below this horrible 225 triggering rate, and it may be different for everyone. I think that because I'm really tall and because I'm really big bone, like I am big, I'm sorry, but I've seen my x-rays and my bones are like, you know, huge my femur's like massive compared to other people's, and it looks like steel. I look like Iron Man or Wolverine. Like, I'm like, who the heck was, you know, what's my family line? Like, what the heck is going on? So it's really freaky. I'm like, everybody else's bones look normal, but the good side is I've never broken a bone. There are positive sides. So I've never had to suffer through that. So that is something to keep aware of. Like, when you look at these weight scales and everything, when I was growing up, I never fit within, when they had the real weight scales, I never fit within it. But I didn't know that, well, there's a difference in height and there's a difference in your shoulder width. You know, I have really broad shoulders. Thank goodness my husband has much broader shoulders. I have big girls. All those things put me about 10 to 15 pounds up to be a normal weight. I remember when I went on this big diet when I was in high school, I went down to this like weight. And I remember that I went down to like, hold on. I went down to like 149, 150. And of course, like, my mother was like, you need to be 120. You need to be 120. You need to be 120. And I got down to this weight, and my, you know, period disappeared. Everything disappeared. And I went into my doctor, and it was about something else. And my doctor was like, what weight are you? And I was like, what? I'm still trying to lose weight. I know I need to really lose weight. I know I really need to lose weight. And I should say, at this time, remember I was in this group thing, and they said, turn to each other, turn to the person on, you know, next to you, and share, if you had one wish, what could it be? And I remember turning to them, and I automatically said, lose 20 pounds. And I'll never forget the look on her face. It's when I was about 150, 149. And her color drained off her face. Just her color went white, and her eyes went like this. And I literally was like, what? And that's when I got my first hint that maybe I'm not supposed to be in those charts. You know what I mean? I'm not supposed to be in the charts they had back then. Now the charts have totally changed. Now they're like, oh, you can be obese and you're healthy, right? But I looked at her face and I was like, what? And she's like, you would be emaciated, like you would be anorexic. And I was like, huh? And later that summer, I went into the doctor, and the doctor freaked out about my weight. And I said, look, I'm still trying to lose. I know. He's like, you're enrolled in this weight loss clinic. Why are you doing that? And I remember she kept feeling my arms being like, why are you here? And it was because my mother, she was like, you need to be 120. You need to be 120. And my doctor was like, never go below 145 for me. Never, ever, ever go below 145. Do not do it. And I was like, really? And I remembered that. And because for me at 145, like even now, like I'm fitting into size 8s, like I'm fitting into size 8s, almost vintage size 8s, like I'm starting to fit into that, but I'm like 160. Like, I'm not a normal, like I'm this normal, I have this build. It's things like your boobs and things like your bones can interrupt with that. But keep in mind that even if that's genetics, you're still only supposed to go like maybe 10 or 15 pounds over. And the pro-fat movement is telling us you can go 100 pounds over, and it can be something other than what you're eating. And I learned very quickly with the ketogenic diet, it was what I was eating. It was what I was eating. And I thought I was eating healthy things. Like I thought I was eating Thai food, and I didn't think I ate that much. But man, like one thing of Thai food is like a full day's thing. And I thought rice was healthy because that was like a thing. No, rice is like, it's like sugar. It's sugar for the brain. And not only that, but it would up your pain. And so I thought the ketogenic would bring my pain down. Not until I got below that 225 did the hormones have less an effect. Like it took a while for my hormones to stabilize, and they still come, and my pain still comes, but that's because I'm right down here. But the bleeding has never been like this overflow of bad things, It has not returned to that. And I know now from my OBGYN, who's amazing. It took me a long time to find her, and good people recommended. That's how I found her. And she was the one that let me know your weight is what's triggering a lot of this. And is that about the time when bad things started happening? And I looked back in my life and I was like, oh my God. You know, because I could gain like 200 pounds and you barely see it on me. Like I'm such an hourglass that I could get away, and all my dance clothes were lycra, so I wouldn't even know, and I wasn't weighing myself all the time. I used to not need to. You can gain it so easily and not notice it just by a single in any little decrease in mobility, and I had decreased completely. I wasn't able to teach anything, you know what I mean? And I had a lot of that was the concussion. I had to stop teaching and stay in bed. And I didn't know anything to change my weight and stuff like that. I wasn't paying attention to that at all. I was like, take care of my head. And what I accidentally did was put myself into this horrible thing of hormones and a horrible thing of cycle. And all my cycles, which were never regular before, suddenly become tornadoes, not tornadoes, hurricanes in my life of intense, where I had to wear diapers to get through the blood. And it was just hell, nothing less than hell. And if you are suffering from chronic pain, and if your chronic pain gets worse during your fluctuation of hormones, I'm here to tell you that something like, yes, acupuncture can help, but it would not have helped me so much if I had not by then lost a huge amount of weight. I'd been on it for 6 months, so I'd lost a ton, and I had come back to that like 225 area when I got on. You know what I mean? Like when I went and did acupuncture. And so acupuncture was able to push me through. I really want to push that to you is that there are serious health side effects that the pro-fat movement doesn't tell us about. And it really affects your chronic pain, and it really affects your hormones and your cycling. And I wish that I had been to by 33 doctors by then, or no, by her, I'd been to 31 doctors, and no doctor told me, you know, were you always this weight, or were you used to be lower? And then, you know, when this bad stuff started happening, and she was the first one to say, you know, there's a point. And by the way, they don't help hospitals. If you're over 225 or over 215, they don't help you get pregnant anymore. And I used to be so upset about that. They used to always help everyone get pregnant. That's what your insurance is for. And now I'm starting to understand why. They always said the risk goes up a lot. And, you know, I even met with an OBGYN about high-risk pregnancy. And I remember she was like, well, our hospital doesn't help you at your weight. And I was like, why? Even the high-risk pregnancy lady, did not say that all of these things and all of these pituitary gland, like cysts you may have on it and everything, could be linked. And I don't know if those two are linked. But I know that, like, you know, I know everything started at this time of switching over into possibly that weight. And right after, like between the 225 and 250 range. And I didn't catch it. And I had to find out years later. And thankfully I was already on the ketogenic diet, already losing. I remember telling her, don't worry, we're already losing. And every time we come back to her, she's like, oh my gosh, you're like a different person. We come back, oh my gosh, you're a different person, because you lose so fast on the ketogenic. And we're on ideal protein again. Let me be very clear about that. We're on ideal protein. That's the diet that we're on. And I love eating, if you want to, like, I really love eating the wafers. I just eat a wafer in the morning and a wafer in the evening. And I love the peanut butter or the peanut caramel for the restricted. I eat that after lunch, because that's when I notice I need a bigger sugar boost. I know they say to have that for dessert. I don't. I have actually learned with my blood sugar and the way my energy goes. I eat that for lunch. Like I eat a little bit after 1 o'clock, like right before my meds rounds. And then I have a wafer at night, and then I have my protein. You know what I mean? That's like my pattern during the day. You can switch things up. And we've even learned that we can put some goat cheese on our wafers. And what people will tell you because of the pro-fat movement and the way things are saying, like, have 12 carbs a day, I will promise you right now, I'm learning about this. People will tell you you're on a diet of too little calories. And I'm like, when did that start? And I'm realizing now they're saying 2,200 calories is a normal diet. 2,200 calories will make you gain weight. It used to be, for depending on your height and weight, you know, for the entire time I grew up, the 20 years I was growing up, your height and weight should be between, you know, around 1,400 calories, maybe 1,700, depending on your height and weight, but it should be about 1,400 calories. And then if you're a weightlifter and a bodybuilder or a sense athlete, then you go to 2,200 or 2,600, depending on like what you were bodybuilding for, if you were Arnold Schwarzenegger. But if you're a normal person with a normal life that's just sitting there, it's supposed to be 1,400 calories or something like that. Maybe 1,500, depending on your height or weight. And then if you go on a diet, they always said diet at 1,200. Every diet I went on for the first 10 years of my life was saying 1,200 to lose weight, 1,200 to lose weight. And then for some people, if you're shorter, you can go down to 1,000. Or, well, my diet right now takes me to about 1,000 calories a day or something like that. And I have been just fine. You all know I look healthier than when I do off the diet. I look way better. And that's because I'm eating a heck of a lot of protein. So whatever about this whole 2,200 calories to survive. So when you go on this diet, I've actually heard of people telling their parents to get off the ketogenic diet because they're eating too little. And I'm like, didn't you wait to see how it affected their like pallor and color? And that's the pro-fat movement for you, designed to kill. Designed to kill, designed to make you infertile, not have babies, the whole 9 yards. I hate sustainable development. Don't even get me started, but just pay attention to the other cultures. China, they don't have a problem with overweight, and they're eating vegetables and meat. That's their diet, not rice. Sorry, the impoverished eat rice. That's what I was told when I went to college. I'll never forget when I sat down and ate rice with a whole table of people from Korea, and ate like this whole, I'm not going to break down there, but it was like this Asian student union basically. And we had like 4 Asian nationalities. And I'll never forget that a student got really offended that I had plain white rice. Oh, that's right. He was screwing with me. I forgot about that. Never mind. I forgot it was a joke. It just tortured me for so long till I found out recently he was screwing with my head. I take that back. But anyway, he was like, oh, don't you know only impoverished people eat that? And I was like, he's like, it's so offensive to eat that in front of me. And maybe he was just, I don't know, he was just totally screwing with me because you can do that to white people. You know, identity politics had come in. That's the first place I ran into identity politics was at my school. And yeah, so it was really fun. So I remember telling you guys about that. They split us all into groups on campus by our skin color. But all my schooling had been done where we were all mixed. And I was like, why aren't we being split apart on our interests like we were at school? You know what I mean? Like we had all these different things set apart on interests, but not at my college. No. Everything was split by skin color. And I really hated that. So, so I got involved in the groups that had, you know, that wasn't. Those were the only groups I got involved in. So I really, really enjoyed that. It's what I was used to. You know what I mean? So anyway, that's just what I want to say. Be paying attention. I'm really tired, so had a rough weekend. You guys know that on Twitter. But just be aware that this is something, this 225 point, 215 for some people, 235 for other people. For me, it was 235 because I can handle more. I'm taller and I have bigger bones. Please be aware that that is a triggering thing for chronic pain. Please be aware that's a triggering thing for your hormones. And hormones can truly affect your pain level. And doctors are not telling you today. They're scared to. The pro-fat movement has terrified them to the point where they do not inform patients. And don't you think I would have loved to know that? Don't you think I would have loved to know that it's not genetics? It's not genetics. There is a small component of genetics. Like I'm taller, I'm broader, I have bigger bones, and I have these girls. The size D cup is 30 pounds. All right, so I go up a little bit on scale. However, and I don't go down to 120 like it used to say. However, that's as far as it goes. I can go up the scale, you know, just a few pounds, right? Like now I know I'm going to go, you know, low, and my body's changed a bit, so I'm going to go for, anyway, my weight doesn't matter. But the point is, oh, I'm so tired. Hold on. The point is, genetics does not take you 100 pounds over. It doesn't take you even 50 pounds over. Genetics doesn't take you more than 10 or 20 pounds over. You know what I mean? I found out that it wasn't 120. My mom wanted me at 120, but my actual chart said 130, right? So the 15 pounds was what my doctor said was my lowest. 15 pounds over. Genetics does not determine, you know, 30, 40, 50, 100 pounds over. The reason people think it's families, the reason the media can get away with that and think it's families is because it's lifestyles. My mother raised me on ice cream every night. My mother raised me on dessert any night. And the dessert wasn't things like strawberries. A lot of my friends do strawberries as the dessert for their kids. Not my mom. She was always like ice cream or pudding or, you know, something tapioca, something really, really heavy and rich every single night of the week, right? And then it wasn't, there is kind of heavy on protein, but there weren't a lot of vegetables. You know, it was always soups as the appetizer, or it was always fast food. Like she'd throw fries and like put it in an oven, and we just all, you know, chow down on fish and chips or chow down on fries. And that was like our dinner. And the only time we got spaghetti, you know, was before a big, huge athletic meet that we needed to be ready for. So like the carbs weren't good. It was a lot of fat. It was a lot of oil. And that's unfortunate. That's really, really unfortunate. You know what I mean? So, but my point is that, you know, her family came from a line of obesity where her mom was obese. And even my father's line, right? But both of them had family habits that determined that, like eating habits and the type of food and the type of recipes and how much they would eat at a time. You know what I mean? And then, you know, like their kids went on, and when our generation came through and they were teaching healthy habits, like 1,200 to 1,400 calories, all the kids went on to be healthy and skinny, you know, and I got much bigger when I got sick, you know, and but my activities had always been active. I had always been consulting or teaching dance. So I could continue those habits without some kind of blowback. Do you know what I mean? But right at the end, like I just blew up. The moment my activity level went down, I just went up, you know what I mean? And you know, a lot of my students could see that at the end of my career, like, and I thought it was my illness, and it wasn't my illness, and no doctor corrected me. So I thought I should help you out, that acupuncture isn't the only way, and a ketogenic diet can really help. My idea protein really, really helps my life. And you can really, I'm telling you right now, like if you're struggling with seltzers, use the little Loran oils. You know, there's stupid AstroTurf on there that says that it takes, you know, a huge field of roses to make one thing of, you know, Loran's oils of roses or something like that. And that's if it took an entire field of roses to do that, that little thing would not be $1.29. That little thing would be like, you know, $1,000. It doesn't make any sense. People don't think it through. They just don't want you going on these diets. And so they put out all this AstroTurf saying you can't enjoy your diet. You absolutely can. We put like little bubblegum things into our seltzer water, or we put a little of like cheesecake into our water, and it tastes just like it. We have the most amazing cream sodas, and we feel like it's real. It tastes real. We put some stevia in and some cheesecake thing into our cream soda, diet cream soda or whatever, or diet cream seltzer or whatever. And it tastes amazing. You don't feel like you're missing out at all. And so there are really great ways that you can do the ideal protein diet without being hungry. You're never hungry. You can go on breaks, you know, every 6 months if you want to, but be aware of how much you're going to gain. Like we gain tremendous amounts of weight when we take a 2-week break, because the things they make today are just packed with calories. They are not made for 1,500 calorie diets at all. They are built for these 2,700 calorie diets. So be aware of that. So, you know, Claim Jumper was something new in the 90s. Now they've cut back or whatever because they can't afford the food. But remember, they used to serve plates this big, and people used to talk about it when it first opened. And they said, 1 plate at Claim Jumper can feed a family of 5. That's what you used to serve on plates, and things have just changed tremendously. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoy that. I hope that helps out with you in your chronic pain journey. I love you so much. Mwah. I'm going to go rest and see if maybe I can dance tonight. I may not be able to talk, but I'm sure going to try and dance, even if it's 3 songs. Right? We're going to fight for it. Love you guys. Bye. Oh, wait, videos. And please donate. Please donate. I had to find out all those things by paying for these really expensive doctors. Like paying for that. So, and I have another appointment tomorrow with an immensely expensive doctor that's not covered by insurance. Your donations make that possible so that I can stand up and give these things to you more often and as much as I can, right? So if you can watch these 2 videos here, but please consider donating on PayPal. You make my recovery possible. I've just been able to expand my recovery so much more. You see me get better and better and better, and that's because your donations are helping with that recovery. Thank you so much to everyone who's donated. Like, no words. You're the best. Bye.